Welcome to another episode of M's the Word, and today we're talking about two very different but very real January themes. First, marriage and moving on. January is known as Divorce Month, with UK law firms reporting a 25 to 30% surge in divorce inquiries straight after Christmas. We'll explore not just the emotional side, but the financial things you need to know, from mortgages to money management if your relationship is changing. Then in part 2, we're flipping the energy and looking forward with manifestation and mood boards for 2026. Did you know people who visualise their goals are 1.2 to 1.4 times more likely to achieve them? We'll talk about how to set your intentions, make them real, and step into the new year with clarity. Two very different conversations, both full of honesty and hope. One table, let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to M's the Word, and a happy new year to you. Now, January is known as the divorce month, with solicitors reporting a 25 to 30% increase in divorce inquiries this month, as couples face another year together and decide we simply cannot do it. So, panel, why do you think January in particular triggers so many separations?
I don't think it's just Christmas, but at Christmas there's a lot of pressure.
Okay.
I think there is a lot that goes on around that time, potentially some resentment, but I also think that it's probably built up and it's like, we'll deal with it after Christmas.
Yeah,
we'll do it
a lot
after
of
Christmas.
things are that.
Yeah. It's like, let's just get through Christmas and we'll attack it in January.
Okay.
And I think it can get amplified when you spend a lot of time together over that period as well. So if there's any issues that are there, it can definitely grow during that time.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it just came out of the blue for January. It's probably something that's been discussed, built up, and then got to a point where it's never a good time. And then January has a fresh start element to it, doesn't it? So perhaps that would be one of the reasons.
25 to 30% though, that's high. That is
actually,
a lot more inquiries.
I can talk about my own situation and think that the 1st of January last year, I literally woke up and went, I cannot do another year like this.
So literally what I just said.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, I just can't carry on like this. So, and it didn't, we didn't then separate until February. But the first words out my mouth on 1st of January 2025 were, I think we need to get divorced and sell the house. You know, so that's just how it went.
So it is just a feeling that comes over you on that day of...
Yeah, we had a particular trigger there. We were on holiday together. We'd had it was a difficult holiday, and then New Year's Eve happened, and then there was a bit of an episode on New Year's Eve, and I just woke up next day and went, I just can't carry on like this.
Wow.
So
there's truth to that then.
Definitely. And I've got a friend that she has been waiting to see what happens over Christmas, so we're sort of awaiting the report on that, where that's got to as well. So
I definitely think there's some psychology in it, and I think if you're parents, we all can find it in our tank to get through Christmas for our kids, no matter what is going on in our life. So that kind of rings true. Let me share a story. So we've got Laura here, has wrote in. Laura, 41, split from her husband just after New Year. She stayed in the family home with their 2 kids, but the mortgage is still in both names and she can't afford to remortgage on her own. He's pressuring her to sell the house, but she's terrified of uprooting the children. She said, I thought divorce was just about emotions. I didn't realise how messy the money would be. So hopefully we can start to talk about some of the more practical elements of divorce as well, and those first steps for women in particular. So should Laura sell and start afresh, or should she fight to stay put for the kids?
That's a tricky one, because if he's asking for it and he's on that mortgage, I don't know how much control she has, or how much of a say she has legally with that. And so it's really hard on that one. I don't know.
I think a lot, we have this a lot with women that want to keep things the same. And Shelley, I'm interested to hear from you, wants to keep things the same for the children. They're going through so much change already. Changing the home as well can be really tricky. There's certainly a period of time where we notice where you are staying, living in the current situation. Perhaps one moves out, often the man in that scenario, and they stay until the remortgage is due, for example. But in this case, I don't think the remortgage is due actually. She just can't afford to remortgage on her own. Shell, what comes to mind for you?
I think that women, or not necessarily women, but the caregiver of the children has a lot of rights when you're getting divorced, and that people need to be empowered to understand what those rights are. So, for example, under the Children Act, you can remain in that home until your youngest child is 18, and that can be court ordered that the man has to continue and pay in that scenario.
If it's best for the children, or just
if it's best, if it's best for the children, but it's going to depend on all of their circumstances. So, if the husband, for example, can't then afford to get his own place, that might be a factor in deciding whether that's appropriate or not.
Okay.
I reflect on my own situation, and I did not want to stay in the house. I could have done. I certainly could have stayed till my remortgage, which is another 2 years. And I could have fought to stay there long term, but I didn't want to, because that was the home that I built for my family, with my husband. So there's an emotional aspect to it and the practical aspect to it. And I was fortunate enough that I could still move on and maintain a decent quality of life. But that's not true of everybody. Some people are genuinely stuck. And for some people, that might mean, it might look like, one party going and renting a room somewhere and the other party staying in the home, So the thing I've learned about divorce, speaking to lots of women that are being divorced or going through the same thing that I have, is that it's different for everybody, and it is very, very individual to your personal finances and the needs of your family as well. So particularly if you've got young children, particularly if any have got special needs, particularly if, one of them has been empowered to work and build a career and the other one hasn't, so lots of factors come into play here. But I tell everybody that comes to me for a mortgage advice during this period, get your advice, get your legal advice. Don't assume you've got to sell the house. Don't assume it's going to be split 50-50, because that often isn't how it goes.
That's really good advice.
It's rare that I've seen it split 50-50.
Across the board, and as simple as that.
Yeah.
And if you think about what we spoke about in our last episode, money management and the couples arguing every week about money, obviously it must just exacerbate that when you're going through divorce, because
100%.
money is such a tool to argue with, isn't it?
Yeah. The biggest thing you can do to help anything is communicate effectively. And that's really difficult when a relationship is broken down. It's not impossible. There are couples that manage divorce and co-parenting very well, but it is quite rare. So it can be really even more difficult to have these very, very important conversations where everybody needs to put their emotions aside and be a bit practical when emotions are so high. But I think, you couldn't be more right. You have to get the right advice. It can't be rushed. Nothing seems to happen very quickly, and that might be a frustrating thing, but actually it shouldn't be rushed, should it?
No, it shouldn't be. It's a massive life decision, a massive life change, not just for the two adults, but the children. And also the people outside of that. It takes a long time for everyone to process the emotion to see a clear path. I've had friends and family cry on my shoulder about my divorce, because everybody was so personally invested in us and our relationship and our future. So it does take time, way more time than you would think it would. I felt like we were in complete agreement with each other the whole time. And still, it's a year, to get that over the line. And I know people where it's taken 6 years, and it's a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. So I think we notice that finances are the side that people don't often talk about. So when you talk to other people that have been in your position, you talk about the emotional weight, you talk about the practicalities, but the financial admin of divorce, mortgages, it's not just mortgages though, it's pensions, it's joint accounts and credit scores. So a resolution survey found 1 in 3 divorcees said their split left them in financial hardship for years. So what are the financial pitfalls that people need to watch out for? What do we see in our clients that we need to make sure people don't leave themselves exposed? I have to start this one and say, when we talk about money management, it's so important. And I don't want to pick on you, Joe, but what you're doing is brilliant, because you're changing the fact that you didn't know about your money. It's really important that you know what your situation is, that you understand how much you can borrow on a mortgage, you understand what your affordability looks like, what your monthly budgeting looks like. And obviously you can't guess how much income will be left from your partner. There will be some maintenance if there's children involved, but take control of the elements in your life you're currently just handing out to your partner way before you have that separation, because that would be tricky to manage and you've got to do it alone.
to be educated is to be empowered. So even if you're starting and thinking, I never knew about this and now I suddenly have to, it is about just seeking the information and the advice and making sure you understand it. And, if you don't understand it the first time, that's not anything. It's just ask, with the right person advising you, they'll tell you it in another way. Because it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot to take
And you're
on.
going through a lot emotionally in that. Because I know quite a few people that on the other side probably want to lead, but financially can't see how that's going to look. So, and growing up, a lot of friends, parents stay together just for the financial ness of it, because it's like, well, it's not going to work. So we're just going to be unhappy together.
Yeah. I've seen that in a lot of women, they long it out, for want of a better phrase, so they just hang on in there because they don't know how to get out. So I think if you feel like you're unhappy, take control of your own life, and see what that looks like. But also realise that where you are now, it isn't where you have to be for the rest of your life. Just because you maybe only work part-time doesn't mean you have to only work part-time. That if you haven't focused on your career because you've been the caregiver, again, it doesn't mean that that's how it's going to stay. Yes, you've got to break away. But again, you're unlikely to stay single, living on your own for the rest of your life, so you've got to prepare for the next chapter and whatever that looks like. So for some women, that might look like retraining and going back to get some skills and confidence in order to leave somebody. For other people, it might mean upping their hours. For other people, it's just a general financial stock take and understanding where they're at. But also speaking to friends and family, because often family will step in here and help, and that's the time to lean on them as well.
I think that's good advice. So then there's the emotional weight. So therapist Esther Perel has said divorce is not just the end of a relationship, it's the reorganisation of an entire life. So Shelley, what emotions do you think people underestimate during divorce? Guilt, relief, stigma, freedom? What are the things that...
It's a journey. That's what I'll tell you. And I think early on, the guilt was overwhelming, and it absolutely crippled me, like the shock and the guilt of not being able to keep my family together for my children. And that floored me for weeks to a point that I couldn't even function. And it was a hard time, but I did a lot of self-work. We did our retreat. I tried to let it go in the ways that I could, and I truly looked at myself and thought, have I not tried, and have I not done enough, and should I have done more? And and of course you can make change. Of course you can always look back and regret how it's gone. But I know in my heart that I tried everything. Everything I did. And so did he in his own way. But ultimately what happened with our life is we just grew differently. And what we both needed after 16 years was not what we both needed when we met in the nightclub in Southend, right in the beginning, So that's just how it is, and I think you have to then reach a point of acceptance with that and say, well, actually, it's sad. But I want to honour the life that we've had now, and I want to love it, but there's a lot of feelings. So yeah, definitely heavy on guilt to start with. And then when that subsided, I just felt this immense sense of relief and freedom, and the whole of the oppressiveness that I was living in for many years just went. And I just felt like myself again, so, and now I feel more like myself than I ever have, so, and I never thought I'd change my name back, and, I am, and because I want to be me, so, and yeah, that's a really happy place actually to be. But then I feel guilty about that sometimes. I'm like, am I having too much fun now? Am I
am I too happy?
Is it appropriate for me to, be going out to Ibiza when I'm 45, But I don't care, because I'm finding myself again. So, and it's a night. And I like myself. I like this version of who I am. I didn't like that version of who I'd become. So the fact that then my children get to see this version of me is way better for them than seeing that one, So I think, you have this sort of 6 or 7 stages of grief when somebody dies, and it's the same when you're getting divorced. You have that sense of loss, but it's not a straight path. And sometimes, when I was in Ibiza, I got punched in the gut by just an absolute my marriage is over moment. Right. Unexpected. I was happy. I was in a shop, and it just hit me. And then I was like, okay, well, yeah, it is. And now I'm here, and now we move on, so, and that's how it is. So.
Thank you for sharing that. Again, if we had a studio audience, they'd be clapping you right now. And did you notice, and we can all kind of contribute here, do you think there is a stigma for women in particular coming out of a divorce situation, whether it's the man's choice, but what if it's the woman's choice? Do you think there is a stigma still for women who are choosing, especially from one generation in particular, choosing to exit a relationship when it wasn't necessarily the done thing?
I'd like to say there isn't anymore. I'd like to think that people are more evolved in that, but there probably still is.
Yeah.
They're probably, like Shelley mentioned, have I tried? Have I tried? Almost like this feeling of, yeah, but did you try everything? And then there's only so far that can go if both parties, are meeting in the middle there. Is it only for the woman to be trying, or are both trying? And like Shelley said as well, that, we grow as people, and more, you have to kind of hope that you grow together, but it's very fair that you might grow apart, and acceptance has to come into that. But I think, yes, there is going to be an old-fashioned concept of, no, you just stick at it. It's
this is
marriage.
What marriage
You're married
is.
at the end of the day. You
This is
just
what
get on
marriage
with it.
is, yeah.
We had a bit of that. I'm thinking, well, of course, let's just get on with it. I'd like to think we're moving on from that, but probably not completely.
Well, I would imagine you've still got parents and grandparents. Did you have any of that?
No, I didn't have judgment. No, because of the circumstances around my separation's kind of different. I thought that it was with a mutual thing, and then obviously it transpired there was a whole backstory going on that I hadn't been aware of. So when the backstory came out, then obviously that changes people's views on how the whole thing.
Did that make it feel more justified? Did you suddenly think, oh, okay,
That people can't say anything?
Yeah, I think in a way, it was a bit of a relief, because it did take the target away from me. But I know I was unhappy for at least 2 or 3 years, and I just couldn't be the one that did it.
Yeah.
And we had that conversation openly, and he said, I know you need to leave me, but I know that you can't, and I was like, and that's sad as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then I understand why then he might have gone down a different route, because he knew how I felt anyway. So you have to be really emotionally mature about the whole situation and go, well, actually, I wasn't meeting your needs and you weren't meeting mine. So
it's never black and white, really, when it's broken down.
It's one person's, what do they say? It's his story, her story, and then what actually happened in the middle. It's just not, that's probably not the right phrase, because I'm just as bad as you, Gemma.
We all know what you meant.
Yeah. But I think over half of marriages end in divorce now, so I think we have to accept that we live in a world where people move on. And I like the phrase, I saw it when it said, my marriage hasn't failed, it's completed. I was like, that's
good.
The circle of my life is completed.
That's good. Okay, so let's close then after that, because that was brilliant, with one piece of advice. If someone listening is facing divorce this month and has turned to this episode to have some sisterhood, what would you want them to hear?
Oh, what you Shelley just said. If you could just repeat that. Yeah, great. Just repeat that.
Yeah, I think just be true to yourself and get informed and get empowered is probably the best advice I would offer.
Yeah.
I think lean into your emotions. You're going to go on that roller coaster, and it's okay to feel the highs and the lows, and know that there is light at the end. But just lean in.
Okay, that's good. I would say build your team. So whether that is, people that are going to help you wrap your presents, or the friends that are going to listen to you say the same thing 500 times over and won't ever make you feel bad for it, to your financial advisor and getting practical steps, finding people that know a good lawyer, just build that network. It takes a village. And I think with divorce, you need that village for sure.
You definitely do. You need the people and you need the time, and it is going to take time. You are going to go on a journey, but it will be all right in the end. That would be my advice.
Thank you. So coming up after the break, we're going to be lifting the mood and talking to you about the new year ahead. We're going to be covering manifestation, including mood boards. We'll see you then. Welcome back to M's the Word, and now we're going to be flipping the energy and talking about the fresh new year ahead, because January isn't just a time for endings, it is also a time for new beginnings. So let's talk about manifestation, one of my favourite topics. What is one thing that you manifested or set an intention for last year that came true? Let's prove that it works.
Honestly, I've got on my vision board studio lights and a camera and a person that I think was representing me talking to a camera with a studio light.
I love that. Yes, I love that. Okay. What was you going to say?
I was laughing because I literally woke up on the 1st of January and went, oh, I'm going to get a
You manifested that. Yeah. And you sold a house?
Yes, yeah.
I had some business debt in the business. Should I say that on here? Probably not. But I owed my brother and my uncle money, who helped me to invest in the mortgage mum. And I really wanted to pay them back. And we did pay them back this year. So that was a big thing for me that covered a good quarter of my mood board. Okay, so we talk about manifestation a lot in our business that we work in. But here is a story from Natalie, 28, who swears by a manifestation. Her 2024 mood board had Paris, a new car and a wedding ring. And by 2025, she had all three. Well done, Natalie. This year, she's gone bigger and added a villa in Spain, a baby and a 100k salary. Her friends are rolling their eyes and saying to her, you can't just glue things to a board and expect it to happen. But Natalie insists it works and says, if you don't dream it, how can you create it? So what do we think? Are mood boards powerful? Are they just pretty pictures? Is Natalie being unrealistic? And have you ever manifested something yourself? Well, clearly, Gemma, you have, and Shelley and Jade. We have all manifested here, haven't we? So let's talk about this, because I don't know about you. I make a mood board, and some people do poo-poo it. They see it on the side. They're like, what is that? Why do you do that? For some time, my husband did, and now he understands. He doesn't join in, but he understands it's a process that's working. So what do we think? What would we say to Natalie here?
I love a mood board. I've always worked with manifestation, and I understand it as energy. So it's not like, oh, I've got a magic trick. I can put this picture up and here it is, appears in my life. I think it's got loads of facets to it. It's getting it in line with you and working out what it is you actually want, or you think you want, because let's be honest, sometimes it can change. Yeah. And then it's putting that energy out there into the ether, the world that is, and actually saying, I'm ready for this, I'm calling this in. And I think that's an action in itself. And then you will likely put some steps into making that happen as well, because you've made that really clear. My biggest thing is I actually have to put it out there and then actually do a surrender, almost, where I don't hold on to it too tight and just go, oh, it just is. And I am amazed, even though I've done it for years, at the end of the year I reflect and I can't believe how much I pull in that I wanted and so I don't care who doesn't get it. It works, do it, and you'll have a really good time.
And there is some science behind what you've just said as well. Mel Robbins is brilliant at talking about this. So if you haven't heard about manifestation on mood boards, I would definitely recommend you listen to her. But she talks about the fact that our brain filters all the time based on our belief system, based on our programming, based on what we consume on social media. We're always programming our mind. So actually, by doing a mood board, you're saying to your brain, filter things that relate to this. Filter information or opportunities that are going to show me a 100k salary or Paris or filming in a TV studio, and your mind works for you. Otherwise, your mind is just going to pull in whoever you surround yourself by, whatever you consume. Your mind is repeating patterns. It is a machine. So there is science behind it as well for the people that don't necessarily lean into the magic.
Yeah, because it's like when you get a new car, isn't it? Or you want a car. Yeah. And you think, I want this particular brand or colour of car. And then all you see is those cars because your brain is on that, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's not more of those cars.
Exactly the same amount of cars as there's always
confirmation bias.
That's it. Yeah. So I think it's really important to have one. We do it together, don't we?
Yeah.
And I didn't have one last year because I had to ride the wave of life for a little bit, and I just need to see where life takes me rather than me try and steer life, because I just didn't know what was next, right? But certainly this year, I'm ready to do it again. Because I've done it before and definitely it's helped me. It keeps me focused. It reminds me who I am and the things that I want to achieve in my life, not just the mum, the wife, the business owner, the sister, the friend, all the other hats that we wear. And I use mine and I put it there, and my desk is here, so my screen's here, my vision board is there. And it just reminds me, I wanted to go to Cyprus. I haven't even thought about that. Who could I go to Cyprus with? Whatever it is, So, and it just, I've used it for investing, and I had some pictures of some houses, and then I got to sort of September and I thought, I haven't even looked at houses. What am I doing? Come on, sort it out. And it inspires me back onto the path that I wanted to take again.
If you don't shoot the arrow, how do you know what opportunities to take and what not to take? It's, when you take away the magical side of it, it's just about going, right, this is what I want, and like not deviating, because there'll be things in life that sharpen your, and maybe you're like, well, that doesn't lead me to where I want to get to, and that does, or that might do.
And then if you set a goal, people set goals, but as soon as you put it, which is similar, as soon as you put manifesting, people go, but it's the same thing kind of thing.
No, you're right. Research from Psychology Today found that people who visualise their goals, as well as setting them, are 1.4 times more likely to achieve them. So you're right, it's goal setting with a bit of a twist. So some people argue then, is it just positive psychology in disguise, or is there something more to visualising what you want as well? Now, I know athletes do it. The most successful athletes will visualise themselves running that race 100 times. And I can only speak from experience of, many times now, but when I did The Voice, that blind audition, I lived that moment 100 times in my kitchen with my daughter. Genuinely, again and again, every time I was in the car, I played it and I felt it. I would cry sometimes, I would stamp my feet. Anyone would have thought I was nuts at the time. I even imagined Jennifer Hudson saying something about Mariah Carey, and I thought, I'll add that into my visualisation. That's fun, while I was walking to the school run. There are moments in life, I think, you cannot deny it. You just cannot deny, but if you really lean in. The problem I now have, at that time, it was very easy to visualise because it was a big goal. It was very specific. I'm going here on this day. I want 4 chairs to turn. I want to get through to the next round. I find it difficult now to make time for visualization when everything is quite broad. It's not a specific moment in time to manifest. I want to manifest a minivan. I want to manifest my dream house. These are very broad things. They're not a moment. And so what can we give people as an anchor or a tip to visualize the things we want? In my case, the dream home. That's just so broad. It's hard to feel something meaningful other than putting a key through the door or the first time, or making a cup of tea.
To me, you've got to anchor in on the feeling. It's not about manifesting things. It's about, because at the end of the day, you want to feel happy or a certain feeling. You think it's things, it's feelings. So in my opinion, everything you do, ask yourself, what do I want to feel when I'm in said house? And then the other details start to arrive because that works with that and that's practical with that. But you've got to start with a feeling. Otherwise, it's just things and it doesn't mean anything and it's too broad and you've got no real connection to
that
it.
Anchor.
So, I've started to connect that actually to my children because I was inspired by you. So now with my eldest, so she's 5, and in New Year's Day, I said, we'll grab a jar. And you're going to just write something in the jar. And I was like, what do you want to do? And obviously her visions are very different to mine. She wants to go to Peppa Pig. That's fine. So we're going to vision. And I'll go, okay, we'll put it in the pot. But I want you to tell me, what's it going to feel like when you're there? Like, what are we going to do? Tell me about your day. And it's only a small thing. She's definitely my daughter a lot and was Disney-fied. But put it in the jar. I love that. So just go, so what's it going to feel like? What we're going to do? What ride do you want to go on? So we can kind of She doesn't understand, but I'm trying to train her almost. Yeah,
I like that. I do the job. I don't do the feeling. I need to do... Because was it you, Gemma, that said to me all those years ago when I wanted a big, beautiful kitchen, used to be what I said, and you go, what are you going to do in this big, beautiful kitchen? I was like, I'm going to bake.
I'm going to bake it. I'm always going to have a baked banana bread or something on the side. You were like, so why don't you bake now? I'm like, I'm not baking in my current kitchen. No, I don't want to bake in that kitchen. And I'm sure you said to me, you got to start baking now because you're not going to just suddenly magically bake when you're in this new kitchen. You got to start being that person today.
Yeah.
And I dug out, it's all in the back of the back cupboard and everything was just annoying. It lasted a good few years. I do still bake a banana bread. I do it this weekend, but I don't do it every time people come over. But it really helped. And I did bake banana bread in my new kitchen. It was lovely.
But it comes from this big, beautiful kitchen. You don't want any of that stuff for no reason. There's a feeling behind it. You've got to dig deep into the feeling, and that's when the best manifestations come, because they come from truth then. And that's when the vibrations and everything that's, leading you in the right way is aligned, because it means something. It's not just, I want it because I want it, and that's what everyone else has got on Instagram. So I want that. Like, why? That's empty. And it's just not aligning. It's got to align with something deeper.
Okay. So let's get practical. Obviously we do mood boards. We've talked about that. Do you do anything else? Do you do journals? Do you do affirmations? Do you do numerology? Or do you do nothing? Do you just set your intention, like you said, surrender?
I'm not so good at surrendering, I've got to be honest.
It's a practice.
Yeah, I do try to, and I just think, well, I'm just going to let it flow. I do some moon rituals as well.
Okay.
So, and that's part of my letting go about my guilt actually was over a moon ritual,
So talk to people that have no idea what you're talking about, and they're going, a moon ritual, sorry? What are we talking about?
Yeah, so just when I'm not the best person to ask about this, because I sort of do it in my own way. But then it was true to me, right?
Yeah.
So as certain moons come throughout the year, there'll be a lot of hype about those moons generally.
Yeah.
So if you get a big blood moon, or, it might be a new moon or a full moon, or there's lots of different opportunities for it. You will write down a certain number of things that you want to let go of, and then a certain number of things that you want to embrace into your life. The things that you want to let go of, you can burn them over a candle. And the things that there's lots of different ways you can do the next bit is sort of fold the paper, write them on a piece of paper, fold it towards you, put it under a cup, drink the water, put it under a pillow, sleep on it for the night. So you are then consuming it in terms of your, actually consuming the water that's sat on top of your intentions, actually sleeping on top of them as well.
Love that.
So, and I find these notes under my pillows and trying to I'm like, that's what I want to do. And there's one I'm still working on from a year or so ago. So just in terms of earning goals and things like that.
That's good.
But I just think, what's the harm in it? My brother thinks I'm absolutely bonkers. He's like, you've lost the plot completely. What the hell are you doing?
I'm drinking.
But it doesn't hurt anyone, and it's very enjoyable to do.
Exactly.
And if nothing else, for women, it helps you dial into yourself.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it makes me check in with myself. How am I feeling?
Yeah.
What are the things that are not a bit negative around myself at the moment?
Yeah.
Why am I hanging on to that? That's got to go. And it's cathartic.
People can understand a physical massage of your muscles because they understand you can feel tension knots, but emotional tension is a thing, and you have to find a way of flowing through that as well,
and sifting through the noise of your brain to find what's important.
Yeah.
I feel like we need multiple episodes on this topic.
Because I've got so much to say.
I've got so much more to say, and I'm pretty sure we're out of time. But let's try and inspire people going into 2026. If they haven't done a mood board, firstly, let's very quickly tell them how to make one, and then let's talk about one word that we want to take into 2026. Because in a year's time, we've got physical proof that we've said it. So to make a mood board, let's all just do one tip for our audience.
Okay, we'll find the images that reflect how you want to feel. Yeah, how you want to feel, what you want to achieve, something that's meaningful to you that gives you those feels in a magazine, online, whatever it is.
Okay. Yeah, there's no one way to do it. I do mine digitally, and I make sure those pictures have to make me feel something. That is the only way they get on my mood board.
Okay.
I might just look at parts of, I section my life sort of like family stuff, like event stuff, work stuff, health and well-being, and I kind of do it like that on my board.
So that you've covered all the areas.
So nothing gets lost.
Okay. Jade?
I would say, especially if it's your first time, whatever your intention is, take it one step further, because normally you'd put stuff on there that you know you're going to achieve.
Yeah, sure.
Go one
That's
step
so
further.
true.
It's like a to-do list that you just tick on. Send
I've
email.
already done that.
Stretch goal,
Yeah,
haven't
definitely.
you? You're
Yeah,
some
excellent
low-hanging
at that.
fruit.
Yeah, go
Yes.
push it a little bit.
Yeah, some real stretch. Yeah, that's really
An
good.
audacious goal, isn't
An
it?
audacious
Yeah, it's got to be really
Sarah,
out there.
you're the inspiration for that. You are so bold.
I feel like I go too bold. Sometimes need some normal. Like, let me give it ourselves some low hanging fruit here, Sarah. This is a lot to try and do in a year. But I also think it's really powerful to have someone else to show your mood board to without any kind of awkwardness. Someone else that's going to be chasing things to. Someone else that you can talk about your goals. Oh, I ticked this off. I did this today. Midway through the year, accountability partner, so important. If you haven't got one, find one, because most of your friendship circle, even if they never manifested, never spoke about this stuff, never done a moon ritual, everyone has a desire to be happier.
Yeah.
And when I do it myself and people see things happen, it's like a magnet. They are drawn to, what are you doing then? I want to do it. So normalise it for other people around you.
And talking it through creates it into being as well. Because if you're feeling awkward about saying it to that trusted person, you feel awkward about it. So you'll notice that. And then if you can talk quite with flow and describe it and get excited, you've just put a load of energy onto it, and it's really
so
cool.
True. Okay, so tell me one thing you're manifesting this year, Shelley.
There's not an actual thing yet.
Okay, a feeling.
The feeling is success.
Oh, I love that. Okay, Jim.
Flow.
Balance.
It's come to me. I'm ready. 2026 is going to be letting go. That just came out of my mouth. I don't know what that means. Help me.
I want to find you're going into your year.
Year 9, I know, because I do numerology. We'll do that in another episode. Thank you so much for joining us for M's the Word today, where we have covered marriage and moving on and manifestation and mood boards, 2 very different topics. And I hope it's left you lighter, inspired, and like you're not alone, most importantly. If you're watching this on YouTube, please comment, please like, please share, please subscribe, please help these lovely women out who are sharing our souls to you to try and connect with women out there. And please keep talking, because when women talk, the world listens and magic happens, especially when you do a mood board. And thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next time.